we finally got our table, 10-foot table with some benches, custom made. We still have to stain it. Beautiful piece that I'm excited to have. And the goal is to host friends and family all summer long and for many years. I haven't been excited about a video topic like this one in a long time. And the title is the benefits of being thrifty, my personal story. When I got married at the age of 24, 25 years ago, is when I realized that my wife and I were broke and had some financial struggles. We were thrifty out of, first and foremost, necessity, because we didn't have a lot of money or a lot of extra money. We had a little bit of debt, $1,000 each, no big deal. We paid it off. But we were thrifty because we had to, out of necessity. Like I said, we didn't have a lot of options. In fact, our options were very limited. And that's not a good feeling. At 24, okay. At 34, no. At 44, no. I don't want to live life like that. I don't want to live life limited. And I have a lot of notes with examples, but I want to tell you that I was very fortunate to marry someone that we were on the same page, because sometimes that doesn't happen. With that said, we have disagreements when it comes to finances, my wife and I. That happens with every couple. I believe so. But let me share with you some of the notes that I have when it comes to me and my wife being thrifty and how we've benefited. When I go to work, when I was in the Air Force and even today as an Air Force civilian, I love to have leftovers. I take leftovers. Lunches, meals are very expensive. When I was a financial counselor, I realized how much people spent on meals. If you don't keep an eye on it, you're going to spend a lot. A lunch today can range between $10 and $13 during the week. And I'm like, no, I'll take leftovers. Do I like to eat out? Of course I do. I love to go out and eat, but I don't have to do it every day. Think about Starbucks. I love coffee. Do I get a Starbucks here or there, or a coffee from a place like Starbucks? Yes. How often? Maybe 3 or 4 times a month. I don't have to do it every day, and there are people that do that. That's an example of meals or food or drinks that I too enjoy, but I don't do it every day because a coffee is $4 or $5, something like that. You as a consumer have the power. I've talked about this, and there's no business that will say, no, we don't want your business. Take your business somewhere else. Everybody wants your business. So you have to be wise on what you're buying and what options you have and who's going to give you the best deal. An example is buying used. We bought used from thrift shops when we were first married out of necessity. 25 years later, we still love thrift shops. That doesn't mean that everything has to be used. That's not what I'm saying. But if you're limited in options financially, consider used. And that's going to benefit you. Have somebody else pay that full price. If people do it for houses and cars, buying used, why not other things? And you can do it. 90% of my clothing is used. Of course, this one happens to be new. My wife bought it for me. But 90% of all of the clothing that I have is used. And I have some really nice clothing that you can buy at thrift shops if you feel comfortable with that. A problem with individuals is that they spend all of their money every month for every paycheck. And then they go above and beyond in using credit to get what they want. When it comes to being thrifty, one of the things that I realized is sometimes you have to compromise. And that's okay when I was 24 and 30. But I don't want to compromise always or forever. Even today, if there's something that I want, do I have the money in the bank? Yes or no. If I don't, then I'll start putting money aside for that. Compromise is not a bad thing. But at the same time, I don't want to be able to compromise for the rest of my life and with every single thing. So you have to look at the big picture and determine what is your priority, what's your goal, what can wait, and what can't wait. Know the differences between wants and needs. They're very different. A need is something that you need: food, shelter. A want is a vacation, and I love to vacation. Dave Ramsey talks about finances being 20% knowledge, 80% behavior. In other words, what you do that works and what doesn't. I like to pay attention, and I have to make adjustments, because when I wasn't paying attention financially, I got in trouble financially. When I made adjustments and paid attention is when I succeeded with finances. We didn't have an emergency account when we were 24, 25, so we had to start one. Once you have an emergency account, because life will happen, that puts you up for success when life happens, as opposed to putting on a credit card or having to get a loan to do whatever it is that you need to. I had a conversation yesterday with a friend of mine who retired from the Air Force. I haven't seen him in a while, and I told him that when I was a financial counselor, my favorite topic was debt. I love debt. But here's what I mean. I love to get out of debt. I love to eliminate debt. I love to reduce debt. I used to love to help people get out of debt, because debt is something that it's a weight that's going to hold you back. My wife and I became 100% debt-free, to include our house, when we were 44. That was another house. Eventually, we sold that house. We bought this house and paid it off 2 years later at the age of 46. So if you want to think about it like this, at 46, my wife and I, since 46, have been 100% debt-free. And that is an incredible feeling. And I'm going to tell you that that is a very unique situation, because a lot of people at age 46, that's not the case. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm the individual that I don't like debt. I want to pay it off as soon as possible. And how has that benefited us? Since the age of 46, for 3 years now, we don't have debt. I work right now because I'm working on my second pension, but I'm working for medical coverage. I could retire right now at the age of 49 and still survive. And it's because we're debt-free. Our expenses, internet, food, insurance, gas, things like that, are probably $800 a month. That's it. Of course, we go above and beyond because we like to travel, we like to go out to eat, we like to do things. But if I had to, I could retire right now. What is your mindset when it comes to you and your finances and being thrifty? Is it something that interests you, yes or no? If yes, pursue it. If no, then what are you going to do? Sometimes we have to pause on the things that we want or need, and that is an unfortunate situation, but that's how life is sometimes. And I'll give you an example. Let's say you have a washer and dryer, and one of them runs out. The life has ended. Do you have the money to go get it? It's a necessity, a washer and dryer, unless you want to go and wash your clothes at places, public places. There's nothing wrong with that. I've done that myself. But remember this, you as an individual are hopefully in a good situation with your finances. If you're not, that's okay. I've been there myself. But I made the necessary adjustments to make changes, and it's really benefited me. I've never been a person to be wasteful. I can't stand being a wasteful person, whether it's water, whether it's electricity, whatever it is. I'm just not a wasteful person. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to leave a lamp on in the bedroom at night. It looks good. It also has the purpose of providing that light, which we need. But I'm not going to leave every single light on. I'm not a wasteful person. Think of where you are, and maybe you're already a thrifty person. If so, good. If not, maybe consider it. I'll end with this. There is a difference between being thrifty and cheap. I am thrifty. I am not cheap. And that's benefited because now we're able to be generous in many different ways. I looked at my statement for our tithing at our church in 2020, and nobody knew this, but I was disappointed in the amount that we tithed. So I told my wife, hey, I want to talk to you about something. And I said, this is where we are. I want to increase it because I think it's my responsibility. My heart is telling me I've been blessed, and I want to be able to return that to our church in our tithing. We're also generous in other ways, whether it's finances, whether it's communication, whether it's listening to someone, because people have done that for me, and it's time for me and to do that to others or for others, and I take a lot of joy. I just want to share something with you that I'm very excited about and passionate, which is being thrifty. It's benefited us in so many ways, personally, and in many other ways as well. Hopefully you can take an inventory of where you are with your finances and continue to succeed or make the changes for you to succeed. Take care.